Hey, everybody. Welcome to Literarily Wasted. It is the first Wednesday, the second Wednesday of July. Is it?
Yes.
And which means it's the time for the first live discussion of the month.
Oh, you're making this so complicated.
Yeah. You may notice that we have a similar layout to last week, except now Christy and I are in the same room, and Lucas and Talia are in different rooms. They broke up.
That's so funny. I'm upstairs. It looks like I'm in a closet, but I'm not. I'm in the corner.
Nobody puts Lucas in the basement.
Talia put Lucas in the basement because
This is not
I
my fault.
apologize. It's kind of your fault, but it's okay. We love you. It's okay. If I apologize, I may be on mute temporarily because my no, I mean I know I'm not on mute, but I did not expect to be in this room because I was getting some high-pitched stuff, and so the washing machine is going, and I don't want that to distract.
I can't hear it.
Sounds good.
Oh, for real?
I can't hear it right now. Yeah,
Oh,
no.
okay.
Also, I am on my iPad, so I can't see the comments. So I pulled up the discussion on my phone to try and.
I'm also on my iPad. But
we
you
are on
can
the same
pull up
computer.
the chat.
But then I
pull up
can't
the
see
chat.
everybody.
Well,
So-
you know.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, Talia's been stricken with
The COVID got
streak.
me.
But you're feeling better, right?
Today is the first day since. Today's Wednesday. Today's the first day that I have had windows where I feel human, which is really nice. I do have like 7 cough drops in my mouth, and I will try to mute myself in time if I feel a big cough.
So
moment.
There's your baby.
Are you able to sing the song?
That's my baby. Yes, I'm gonna sing the song. I'm gonna do it right now. I'm gonna do it right now. Hold on. Okay.
All right, here's the name song, COVID edition.
Oh no, y'all. Okay,
That's
when
not
you're
how
on
it
your
goes.
iPad, it doesn't let you scroll all the way back.
Oh no. Well, I'll tell you who they are.
I'm gonna do it. No, hold on. I'm just starting with Dan, and I'm very sorry to everyone who talked before Dan. Talk now. Hi, Dan and Bethany, Jacob and Carrie, Tammy, Sean, Brenda, and Martin. Hi, Cindy and Kristen and Kelly and Kira, Bethany, Kristen again. Hi, Kit and Adrian, Jody and Martin and Brandy. Oh God, where'd they go? Martin, Leanne, Dan, Anthony, Martin and Leanne, Anthony, Bobby. Oh my God, they keep moving. Leanne, Cindy, Sean, Anthony, Brandy, Adrian, Jan, Julie, Carolyn, Rachel, Tim, Stacy, and everybody
sounds so
else.
sad.
Sorry. I can't see. I can't see.
Well, hi
Yes.
everybody. Welcome.
You got to the bottom.
There it is. There's the stinger. So
I did it.
this month, as you know, we're doing things a little bit differently. We're going to talk about a whole book in the first half. We're going to talk about Brandon Sanderson's The Emperor's Soul. It's a little novella. And this is our first official Brandon Sanderson of Literarily Wasted. So a lot of very exciting things in the midst of the 3 out of the 4 of us getting COVID at some point.
I didn't get it.
Lucas, stay safe.
Yet.
I am with the cat and the boy child.
That's my cat.
So we have downstairs cats, y'all. Y'all don't get to see these. This is
Martin,
the good
my
cats.
singing's not off. That was
The
beautiful.
good cats live downstairs. They're the snuggle cats. This is Edie.
Yeah. Kitty. So let's jump into this book discussion. See, all spoilers. We can spoil this whole book because we're talking about all 160 something pages of it. So
172. No, wait.
what did y'all
167.
what did y'all think about this book? I finished it yesterday and started it mostly yesterday.
Talia, you go.
I wrote down my thoughts because I was scared my COVID brain would forget them. I started it last night and then finished it today. Y'all, I enjoyed the heck out of this book. I'm so glad that this is the first. I mean, other than completing Robert Jordan's legacy, this is the first solo Brandon Sanderson book that I've ever read. and I'm so excited because I loved it. Unfortunately, that does mean that like my expectations are very high for anything else I'm going to read from him. But um, I just thought it was beautiful, beautiful storytelling, and I literally wrote down. I said, "This is a shining example of not needing hundreds upon hundreds of pages." Or tons of action to create a captivating story. I had a really hard time finding a single weak point for me personally. Not to say that it's flawless for other people, but for me personally, I I was totally captivated, beginning to end.
We got a lot of people that agree with you in the comment section. This is your second time reading it, isn't
This
it?
is my second time reading it, and I loved it just as much this time as I did the first time.
Just as much, not more.
The same amount, because I loved this book when I first read it in April, and I loved it again this time. I was just super impressed.
Lucas.
Yeah, this is my first Brandon Sanderson experience as well. And I did listen to the audiobook, and I like the narrator in the audiobook. I'm with Talia. Like,
do you want to make sure that your headphones are plugged in all the way or something? You sound crackled.
A little crispy.
How's that?
You're a little crunchy.
I'm sorry. This is what we get with weird tech.
He's a robot.
No, I really enjoyed it, and I mean, not a ton like happened action wise, like you said, but I was kind of captivated the whole time too. It was just like a lesson in empathy and understanding, and you got enough cool action at the end to kind of like satiate that. At least for me, like I was like, oh yeah, she totally made herself, this badass warrior and escaped and everything. But no, I really like the character. It's an interesting premise, and not a lot of characters either, right? Like it was a very small cast. Like it'd almost be interesting to see it visualized as like a short film or something too. But no, I'm interested. I can't invest myself into a 1,000-page Brandon Sanderson novel, but I'd be really interested to see what else he has in more of like a shorter form. And Christy, again, props to you. Like I liked having something that I was able to just like knock out in 4 hours and be done and enjoy it for what it was.
Yeah. Adam, what did you think?
I enjoyed it. I didn't know what to expect, but Christy is always she's like keeps throwing little primers at me on Brandon Sanderson because you've been, you're like a super fan.
Right now I'm trying to get through the Cosmere.
Like working your way through all of the Sanderson books, and the thing that she says most consistently about Brandon Sanderson is that he is constantly like inventing the most elaborate and inventive and creative magic systems, and that every time you read something of his, it's like a completely different magic system, and every one of them is like mind-blowing. And so I was like, well, that's a lot of setup here.
How does he have all that in his brain?
I don't know.
But when I started reading this, I definitely went into it with the mind. I was like, oh, we're going to get a really creative magic system in this book. And we did. And I the magic system was kind of like the anchor of the whole story, kind of like, and it was just like from the beginning, like I was like, man, he's just going. Like there wasn't like a lot of exposition, which I appreciated. It just kind of throws you in, and you kind of have to learn about not only the magic system but the world just through this like very specific scenario, which I appreciated. I like that we kind of had to get into it like that. And the magic system was fascinating, even though it took me a little while to like figure it out or like realize what in the world we were doing. The longer I went, it was like, oh, this is really interesting. And the fact that she like remade her entire room into like the fanciest room in the palace while she was doing this soul thing. So it was a little confusing to me at first, but then as I read it, more of it, I think it was a nice little snapshot, and it almost made me sad that like there wasn't more, because like he introduces this thing with all of her essences that like was, and then you get a little snippet of it at the end with the warrior and the beggar, and I was just like, oh, this is something.
I have a question for Christy that maybe you know, or maybe someone in the comments, which I can't see your comments either because I'm on my iPad. Does he explore this world or this magic system in any other book? Because Adam, to your point, like it is really interesting, but you really just get a real snippet of what she was able to do.
Yeah. This is the only book that has this magic system in the Cosmere so far. And this is based on the same planet as another book of his, Elantris, but the magic system, I think, is totally different, although there are some connections. But I read earlier, Sanderson has said he doesn't want to do a sequel to Emperor's Soul since he felt like he did it so well with it, but he's hinted that more Shy might be possible. So I really hope we get that, because I want to read a lot more.
Yeah, like, and I was
read more of her story.
Mm-hmm.
I was really scared for her that like somebody was gonna stamp her with her like endgame stamp without her wanting it. But you know, we didn't get that, and that was okay.
Let me answer some of these Cosmere questions really quick.
So, yeah, Matt, why don't you give like a little primer?
Yeah. So this book is in the Cosmere, and what the Cosmere is just a universe where these like shards, like something came into the universe and shattered and like went to all these different planets, and each of the shards of this thing that shattered like kind of are the fuel for the different magic systems, and the kind of civilizations came up around those. And I might be butchering it, but that's kind of the impression I've gotten just from reading everything. So all of his stuff are mostly unconnected, except they all have a magic system. There's also actually a character that kind of shows up in each of his worlds, usually very subtly. But that I'm still getting used to that because it's very subtle.
Oh, that's so many.
Are there any other questions that you wanted to answer?
I think those are the Cosmere ones.
But yeah, I think just getting this little snippet of like this magic system, like I was like, man, this is so creative and this is so interesting. And then it seemed kind of like a little bit of a waste. It's a bit like, oh, this is all he's going to use this in? It's just this one little story.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, but this seems like so much potential for more. So if we get a new Shy story, that would be awesome, especially with her abilities to sort of remake her own soul and become these different people. It was just really fascinating. But you're in the middle of like a book that's like this thick, aren't you?
Yeah, so right now I'm about halfway through The Way of Kings, which is the first book in his like epic fantasy series, and they're so huge. This book's like 1,200 pages, and it's the first of 4 that he's written. But I think there's another like 3 or 4 that he has planned.
Dan wants to know, is it Shy or Shay?
So I feel like it should be Shay, but in the audiobook I listened to, it was Shy. But I swear, in the audiobook I listened to in April, I feel like it was Shay.
Who narrated the one that you listened to?
I listened to the Arcanum Unbounded. So it's the collection of short stories that are in the Cosmere.
Okay.
And it's a different narrator. So I know that there's at least 3 different audiobooks. So there's the one I listened to, there's the dramatized adaptation, and then there's the one that's just written or narrated by just a single woman.
Yeah, the one I listened to is an Asian lady. I just remember her last name, Lynn, because that just made me think of Talia. But I thought she was good, and she said Shay.
I like Shay better, and for the rest of this live discussion, I will be saying Shay.
Let's say Shay.
Different pronunciations.
Yeah.
Mike.
That's
yeah. You're
I
not
would say
wrong.
I'm going like way, way, way back because I saw it forever ago and then I forgot. But Philip Gilfus made a really good point that this was almost like a bottle episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it
A
was.
what episode?
A bottle
bottle
episode. It just took place
almost
in
everything
one.
happened in one
Oh
room.
yeah.
I'm trying to find.
Which
Oh, here
I
it
was. What?
Christy, the thing you said earlier about how sometimes but he puts certain characters from other books, like
There's one character that like kind of drops into each book, really like just in a paragraph or a chapter or a sentence.
I wondered when you said that, what immediately popped into my head was there's this one part when I was reading towards the end when she's running, and I hit this line and I was like, that seems random. And I remember thinking, I wonder if that ties into something else. It says, Shay dashed through the hallway, servants began pointing, others screamed. She almost bowled over a southern ambassador in red priest's armor.
So
She cursed, bolting around the man, and I was like, that seems like a strange detail.
That's not who I'm talking about, but he is actually someone that or a type of person that you see in Elantris, his other book that's on this world.
Okay. Okay. I was going to say that seems like kind of like a random detail.
So what you're
not
saying is
part of
we should
something else.
we should read Elantris.
I really enjoyed Elantris too. It's just you should just read all of them.
So going back to the bottle episode thing, I was initially worried about that at first. Like I was like, oh no.
Oh yeah, you even said he's like they're not going to leave this room, are they?
This is going to take place all in this room. But I actually really liked it. You know, like it helped contain the story, but it also like the room was a character. The room was a character in the book, and like the way she kept changing it, and the way she kept reinterpreting it and reimagining it. Like things about like the windows and the walls that like the window, this is what the window wants to be. It's just like, huh. And I'm looking at my own windows and I'm like, y'all have no ambition.
That's good.
Yeah.
But no, this I think for me, like I'll definitely pass this one along. Just there were so many different concepts that I thought were cool, but it was just I don't know, the way it was compartmentalized, and I guess I kind of needed that right now. And again, just being short enough, but it definitely has me very interested to read more of his stuff because he is really good. Like it just flowed well, and to not have a ton of action or exposition or world building, like it just sucked me in.
Yeah.
I saw Dan's comment about the book being surprised at how big the book is. The font is pretty large.
The margins are so big.
Which was nice, honestly, right now. It made it easier to focus on. Also, I agree with Matt Scalisi. I think this would make a delightful movie. I would definitely.
Adam, you should direct it, and Talia, you should be in it.
You want to play Shay?
Can I play the blood sealer?
Blood sealer?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that's a good character.
And Christy, you can be Fava.
Oh, thanks.
Hey, villain's always a fun role though.
I feel like I pull off a villain.
Yeah.
Hey, too quick.
You'd be a really good secret villain because no one would ever suspect you.
Too quick.
Until it's way too late.
If you're interested, there's actually a deleted scene from this book that you can just go find on his website, and it is about that character that shows up in each of his little books. And he did say it's not official, but what did he say? Wait, let's see.
He wrote it though?
Yeah. He wrote it. Oba, I didn't write it down.
Oba.
He said that it... Don't make fun of me. He said that it's not official canon, but they did have that conversation.
So it's not official, but they did do it.
But he wrote it. Yeah. So the story. So she is a resealer, a forger.
Yeah.
And she has been basically captured and forced to...
I absolutely loved the whole thing with the painting and how there were two fakes And just how that whole story kind of evolved and how she ended up telling Galtona.
Like she made a bad forgery on purpose so that they would think that the less bad forgery was the real one. Yeah, that was cool. But she meant to she wanted to steal the moon scepter, which sounds like a cool thing that we never really got to see much of.
Well,
she did.
She did steal
she
the
did
moon
steal it, but we still didn't get to see it. It sounds like it would do cool things.
I don't know what that's for.
But she got captured and then forced to. The emperor was assassinated by poison, which meant that he was like basically brain dead. So she had to remake his soul and make it to where he was an actual person again.
Was he poisoned? I thought it was a crossbolt to the back of the head.
Yeah, no, he had like brain damage, basically.
I don't know. It was early in the book.
Something like that.
That was 2 days ago.
That was 2 days ago.
So he got shot in the head, and the fool stole the scepter. Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah.
So she was hired to remake this emperor's soul using her forgery machine. She had to forge the emperor's soul by learning everything she could about him, and then like imbuing that knowledge into these things. Stamps. How do you say his name? Galtona.
In the one I listened to, they said Gautana.
Oh, I don't like that.
Gautana.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't even know if someone could please post.
It's
Gaot.
Yeah.
Gautona. Yeah, I like Gautona a little better.
That relationship to me was like kind of the core of this, like the crux of this book was the relationship between Shay and Gautona. Gautona.
In the one I listened to, they said Gautana, but I like Gautona better.
Because, like Dan said, he had some like forging envy.
Well, and this thing that is, blasphemous, basically. And he had such a respect for it by the end. I really appreciated how he kind of evolved.
Well, she was this master manipulator, and they would only leave her with certain guards because they knew that she was going to manipulate the hell out of them. And then she saw a challenge to manipulate Gautona, and the way she did it was by being genuine.
Yeah.
Which was like,
I did it.
Well, but he even said, like, that's not manipulation if you're genuine.
But it was because he showed up with the things.
The way she can read people is basically a superpower.
Yeah. Oh, so this was another thing. That the whole time he's like making her do this, and he's like, "You're the devil, basically. This is the work of the devil, and I don't approve of this." But by the end, there was this respect that they both kind of had for each other, which was
because like, didn't she? What was the line? She basically wrote it that there was a kind grandfather, fatherly figure that.
I took a picture of it because I love that moment.
Okay.
If I escape, I will change my final essence mark, the one I never intend to use. I will add to it into my memories a kindly grandfather who saved my life, a man of wisdom and compassion who I respected very much. And he went, "Go, fool girl." And it was sweet, and I loved it, and I took a picture of it. And also, Matt, I just saw that pun you made earlier about I pity the fool. And both bravo and boo.
Yeah, that was a really sweet moment. And then the fact that like the parallel between her burning the painting, the actual painting, and then him burning her book, the fact that he like was revering as this work of art, like the most like the greatest work of art he's ever seen.
Yeah, a masterpiece. Like love that mirror. What's the word of the mirror when something
parallel?
Yeah.
I don't know. COVID brain. I still have it.
She's got COVID brain.
You have COVID brain.
There was a little bit of Sherlock in how she figured people out, and I like that. I definitely like the way she was able to read people.
I liked her a lot.
Yeah. Her manipulation of the blood caster or whatever, that was really interesting. Like, just she only got these little peeks of him, like what, a couple of minutes every morning, and she was able to figure all of that out and was so effective.
The letters.
Mm-hmm.
But then underneath it all, she still has like that heart, because even when she became the warrior version of herself at the end, like, to know that, like, to tell him, be like, just go home.
Go
Like,
home.
Yeah.
go home and be with the one who loves you. Like, instead of, beating him to death with a skull.
So Mariah
could've
brings
done.
up a good point. Like, there was no love story here, not in the traditional sense, and that was just fine. It's just fine with that. You don't need to force that. This was like a V.E. Schwab thing, right? When we interviewed
she's
her.
a strong, independent woman. She don't need no man.
Well,
there
my
was
favorite thing.
there was a sort of fatherly, respect or admiration that grew between her and Gautona, but I enjoyed that. It seemed fitting for the story and not shoehorned in any way.
No, I like how V. Schwab put it. Like, we asked her in that Q&A, like, about not feeling the pressure to always put romance in every book. And she was like, every book that she writes is about relationships, but there's so many other types of relationships. And this very much was about the relationship between Shay and
Gautona.
Yeah.
What if he wrote it really poorly, and instead of kissing him on the cheek, she just like went for it? And
I
they
ruined
just...
it. No, I didn't get it.
I mean, over and over, he was the disappointed grandfather. So no, don't make us mute you.
Yeah. Christy, kick him out. Speaking of things though that are really awesome, y'all, I cheered out loud when Shay turned into Shazam. And when she started kicking Zoo's butt, I literally was like, yeah.
Oh, that, and then like she took the skull and like blocked another like dagger, and then bashed the skull into the other skull. Like, oh yeah, that was. I will say, for not
only had like those tiny little moments, but they were so awesome, and it was enough. It was enough, and it was
enough.
So cool.
Can we talk about just the fact that, like, by the end of this book, she's fighting skeletons? Like,
didn't see that coming, huh?
It's like, what? It's like all of a sudden we're in Zelda.
Yeah, but the whole blood sealer concept and like the hunting was really fascinating. I really liked that whole concept, and yeah, like he painted such a good visual too of these skeletons coming down this corridor at her, and definitely had some payoff.
Oh, there were so many good visuals. I feel like I could like picture the table in her room, and the mural. When the mural came to life, that scene was beautiful. Like, man, I remember watching that part, and that was, I think, when it hit me. I was like, I want to see this movie. Like, the description of the mural blossoming out of the seal made me want to see this as a movie.
Right, y'all write him.
I took a picture of the part that made me laugh out loud. That Kunukam, Heel whispered, using a native word of theirs. It roughly translated as a man who had an anus for a mouth.
The whole mouth.
That was just like an unexpected to me, like an unexpected
Matt called it
moment of levity. I didn't expect it there. That, and then when she went back to steal her own forgery of the painting, and she left the rude rune in the middle, like I appreciated those little moments.
Yeah. The description of the room and what she was doing to it was, and like what she needed to know in order to do it was all fast. Like, and I kept like trying to remind myself that like he's just making this up. Like Brandon Sanderson's just made this up, and like I want it to be real.
Well, you said yesterday that it felt like a 5-year-old was like telling a story, just because it was so like.
It was in like the best kind of way, like the imaginative kind of way. But like at first, it started out like he was just like making stuff up as he was going, and like because I didn't know the rules, so it didn't seem like there were any. And then now, like here's a new rule all of a sudden, in the way that like. Now I know that all authors make it up, but like some are better than others about like making stuff up. Like this is impressive that this was made up to me.
Mm-hmm.
This is an interesting point too, that we'll get to. But what was that? What was I saying? I forgot.
We're talking about how he just made it up.
Oh well, yeah, like because I didn't know the rules.
This guy just like made it up and wrote it down, man.
I'm sorry, Adrian. I was going back through the comments.
Yeah, I know, but
Adrian, you didn't use a comma, and it just says the wall wanted to be pretty. Stop painting your homes, white people. Sorry, that made me laugh. I know
anyway,
what he meant.
what
I
was
think.
saying? I don't remember.
I like what Henry said about the changes she made to the Emperor. Like she knew him better than he knew himself, and better than anybody else knew him. And she just made that one little tweak to kind of get him where he probably really wanted to be.
Yeah. The fact that like it was going to be a slow, gradual thing, but he was eventually going to get to a place where he was like doing it for the right reason.
Mm-hmm. That's what she said. Do better. Is that what she said?
Yes. Yeah. Do better.
Do better. That's a good word. Good word of advice.
It is. I've actually thought about that a lot.
It's like a performance review. Do better.
Do better.
Needs
it's
some
like,
improvement.
Like a lot of the comments we get on It's a Southern Thing.
I love how she couldn't escape without successfully using the soul stamp on him. I love how she kept like pushing back her escape, and then finally like just all the drama, and instead of saving herself, she just had to see.
Well, because it did start out like I'm gonna find a way out of here.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was it. It was like I'm just gonna like buy my time until I can figure out a way out of here. And then like when she finally did, she was like, well, maybe I could do it tomorrow. I don't know. Like, maybe I kind of need to see how this goes. Maybe. And I was wondering if that was going to be kind of a fatal flaw for her, like the kind of pride that she had in her work. And she kept having to remind herself, it's like, it's not about pride. Don't be prideful.
Mm-hmm.
There's always somebody that knows better than you or that is better than you.
No matter how good you were, someone was better. Live by that knowledge, and you would never grow so confident that you become sloppy.
That's how I feel when I play competitive video games. It's like...
Okay, but all those bits of life advice, like from her Uncle Juan, made me
and Aunt
so
Sol.
sad.
And they didn't exist.
Yep, that's what why are you laughing? That's so sad.
It's crazy.
That's so sad. She's been giving herself like this whole like family and history. It made me want so much more of her story.
I thought that to me was the biggest twist of all, was that these people that she's getting life advice from are people that she made up for herself.
Well, it just shows you how important that soul, the escape soul stamp, was to her. Like, I don't know, she dumped her soul into that. I mean, I know, but like, really, she just made it everything that she needed it to be, and she, I don't know, did all the research and all the work to get there.
She did do the work. Ooh, oh my goodness, she studied this man. Like, she read the lines and between the lines, and the fact that she had to test her stuff out on Gautona was interesting to me, that he was like the test subject.
Mm-hmm.
And that gave him some revelations about how the emperor felt about him that he didn't know. And then it helped him understand the emperor a little bit better just by experiencing. And then he had this like thought of like, what if this power was used to like really let people empathize with other people? And I was like, that's a thing. That could be a thing. And then they just didn't. That would be so cool, though, if that was the thing.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got really high pitched there.
It's okay.
Adrian, don't be sorry. My sniffles and my coughing are ruining my comments.
Mike said he thought the line about there always being someone better was going to be crucial in the end. And it wasn't, thankfully. Because I was very...
Technically, it was crucial in the beginning.
Yeah, when she got caught.
She got in this position in the first
But I was really thinking that this was going to end badly for her for some reason. Like, I was thinking there was going to be some sort of twist at the end, and she was going to get it.
I think it's because we're prepared to be hurt right now. I was totally ready. I was like, this book's gonna hurt me, isn't it? And then I was so happy. Oh my God, what is that? I was so happy when it didn't.
Yeah,
I was glad that it didn't. But I was very worried. I was very worried that one stamp that she created for herself was going to get used on her. Like Gautona was going to be like, "Thanks for the soul stone." Boom. She's going to be like, "Wait, no, I don't remember anymore."
I mean, but then it served its purpose. Not only did it give us insight to a side of her personality and to see the depth of who she is, but it also added that tension to the story. We constantly were in fear of what was going to happen with it. And thankfully it just wasn't utilized.
Yeah.
It just didn't.
So why do you think she created that way out?
Well, she explained it. Just like she always had this desire to maybe live a different, more a less dangerous lifestyle. She just kind of created that for herself. If one day she was done with the whole thing, with the whole act of forging, I can't see her actually ever using it.
Yeah,
I hope she doesn't.
It doesn't seem like she would ever want to give up this sort of rush that she gets from creating all these forgeries. Because who would want to give that up? I mean, there's a tremendous power there.
I think the only way that she would do it is if something bad enough happens to where she'd be doing it to protect someone else. Do you know what I mean? I mean, it's basically a hard reset button. She's wiping herself. So it'd be if she contained knowledge that could be used to harm others, then maybe then. I don't know.
Can you imagine if this power fell into the wrong hands? Good thing she of sound conscience most of the time is using this power.
What if Dudu Frava had that power?
She can't be the only one out there like that. But Bethany's comment actually.
Oh, yeah, that was good.
She commented in the discussion topics post too, some really great stuff. But I thought that was really interesting. She said in the discussion topics post, she read the bonus content on Kindle and listened to the podcast it included, which got her thinking. She also has this concept of Shay being a type of writer, someone who reads and manipulates things and people as an art form. And I was reading, I always look for questions about books on the internet and Reddit just to kind of help if we need it. And someone had this parallel that Brandon Sanderson, this wasn't about the Emperor's soul. This was about Brandon Sanderson's soul, this book was. And about how you have to be so observant and you have to just dump your whole being into what you create and really just create things that are unique to them and real. And I don't know. I thought it was really beautiful. I should have written it down because it was written way better than I can remember.
As a metaphor for the creative process, I think it's fascinating and sort of what you have to know in order to create even something like this, what you have to know about your characters and about the world that they live in, and sort of between the lines, just to write something like this is it's an interesting insight into what it means to create characters in a book.
Well, and she was, I mean, making one of these things, they were like, "Is it done yet?" They're like, she's like, "No, this is going to take me months, so it definitely is an insight into the creative process. I think Talia might be dying.
She ran away.
Hear her. She's up there. Like, so I'm removed. I am downstairs and safe from the coughing.
Good. So Katie Dahl actually posted in the discussion topics post. I don't know if anyone's going to really want to answer, but if you could tweak one aspect of your personality using a soul stamp, what would it be? And I think I'd like to be more patient.
That's what you said? Oh,
no, that's what she said. Huh.
Oh. Watch out, Adam. Don't step in it again.
Yeah, I just need some clarification there. If you could change one aspect of your personality using a soul stamp, I think. Oh, I don't know. I don't know if I want to admit my flaws here on this live stream that nobody's aware of.
I know mine because I read this question hours ago. I'd want to stop overthinking things so much. Like I cause myself a lot of anxiety by overthinking a lot, and I'd love to stop that.
Well, it's interesting.
Stamp it out.
Like way you would have to go about that. Like you'd have to like rewrite your history. You'd have to find something in your past, which is kind of like therapy. What therapy does anyway, it kind of like tries to root out something in your past that kind of made you a certain way, or made you like sort of act a certain way. So you'd have to go back through your own story and rewrite it. There would have to be something in your past that you'd have to like rewrite your own history in order to say I want to stop overthinking stuff.
Figuring out the moment that kind of defined that characteristic in yourself and rewriting it. Yeah, that's.
Y'all, I think you're overthinking it.
Complicated. Oh, thanks, Lucas. No, I needed that. You were just waiting with that, and I appreciate it. That was well done.
Yeah, mine would be I don't know, whatever causes imposter syndrome. That's what that would be.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah,
off the top of my head.
It's like it's a core belief that you have that like you have to go back and sort of rewrite. But it's interesting. It learning or just thinking about it through this process and thinking about like what you would need to do to change yourself or to like rewrite your own history so that you wouldn't be a certain way. So you would be like a completely different person. It's the whole like nurture thing. The nurture argument is at play here. See, Adrian said the same thing.
What's the question? What did I miss?
Oh, Katie Dahl asked, if you could tweak one aspect of your personality using a soul stamp, what would it be?
Oh.
Yeah. We've moved on to the therapy portion.
Yeah, we're in therapy now.
Literally wasted.
I'd be less of a procrastinator.
Less of a procrastinator.
Lucas thought it left that.
I'm not. I'm just
He's listening to the music in his head.
Yeah, there's beautiful music.
I hear it.
I'm guilty of. I will think of all of the things all at once and then just get overwhelmed completely and then not do anything at all.
Yeah.
The only time that I've seen you procrastinate is before a trip.
That's also a lie, but okay.
I think we should move on before there's murder.
Before we need more therapy.
Yeah.
Kent's stamping other characters on his personality.
Okay. I mean, she did it. She made it possible and plausible for her, so it's got to be a thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be a fascinating book to read as like, if you're a therapist, like assigning your clients like to read this book in order to say like, what are your essences or whatever, what makes you, and like how can we get to a point where we can sort of rewrite that history? Because it is such a fascinating concept, and like she uses it in kind of this fantastical way, which I want to read more about. I want more of that. I want more of like her using these essences to like do things, like when she changes herself. Like we only saw her as two different ones. We saw her as the ninja and the beggar, right? And the beggar was just to lay low.
And and then she went into the woods as a woodsman, which we didn't see her as, but she, I think, used it as she was going in.
I would do that for myself.
What would you have to rewrite to make that plausible?
I don't know. Don't be lazy. I don't know. That's like a genetics thing.
Talia's just counting the time she's procrastinated.
Shush you? No, what was the other?
I was going to do that, but I'll do it later.
The one she'll never use, the survivalist, the warrior, the beggar.
The thief
the one that
was the...
Which one had like the 12 different languages?
The scholar.
Okay, never mind. Thank you. The scholar. That was the one that we didn't get to see.
Wasn't there a thief that was like also a contortionist? And
I think that might have been the beggar.
I thought the beggar had like the street smarts, and
there was a contortionist one.
Yeah, I don't remember which one it was though.
I'll just gonna find it.
Yeah, there was the scholar too.
I want it's all kind of Final Fantasy-esque. Like they've got, I'm gonna change my job, and now I'm gonna become a red mage, or now I'm gonna become a mime, or I don't know.
So Martin Sims said, I love the fact that all objects have memories and preferences. What did y'all think about that? Like, the window wants to be beautiful.
Matt, you're already that person. Matt Scalisi is a Mario Kart 64 sniper. It's stupid. That like challenged my whole notion of things. Like, you know, like it's just like things that don't have, they're inanimate. they don't like think, they don't aspire. And so it took a minute for me to wrap my mind around that concept, but I thought it was really cool in the end. And that's how I feel about that.
Well, someone in the discussion topics post replied to that and said that they kind of feel that way about their stuff. Like they'll pick a cup to drink out of, and they'll think, oh, I wonder if the rest of the ones in the cabinet are sad because they weren't picked.
Like you're using the same 2 coffee mugs, and you've got 20 in the coffee mug cabinet. Yep. Yeah, I could see that.
So the interesting thing about that was that, like,
oh, the beggar. Okay, thanks, Julie.
It was like things are. It's like the whole of things. It's not like the individual things that make up the thing. It is like the wall is the object. Like it's not like because the wall was made out of like 44 different stones, and that's what made it difficult for her to rewrite it first. But like the wall, she had to understand like the whole wall. Like the window is the window. It's not like the individual panes of glass. So it's interesting that like, where does it stop? Why does it stop at the window and not the window with the wall in it?
It's like, probably in the stamp.
Like, you know, does it stop at the wall and not the room, or not, you know, like where are the
what's
lines?
The boundaries? Yeah.
I don't know.
That's what I was thinking during it. I was like, how do we define what things are and what things are like the beginning and the end?
Yeah. Well, and Martin, with talking to your food before eating, are you doing the from, oh gosh, what's the book we just read? Infinity Welcomes Careful Drivers. The I'm gonna eat you, little fishy.
I'm gonna eat you, little fishy.
If it's not that, I'm gonna be disappointed.
You know, Martin when he takes pictures of all of his booze on Facebook, he's totally singing songs to it before he drinks it.
Yeah.
My only issue with the book was that from her description, changing objects sounds complicated, but the palace is filled with factory forgeries. Yeah, that was interesting.
Oh yeah, that was interesting how they basically had assembly lines of people making the same pot or something, like mass producing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, like,
uh,
I work in a print shop, and we have a bunch of like big machineries, and they have personalities. Like, I think everybody's experienced that where
Your
inanimate
printers have
objects.
personalities?
Yeah, definitely. But I think going back to that last comment, I think was really interesting that like they look down on forgeries so much, or at least the kind that Shay does, but then they're really hypocritical in that they have like nothing unique. It's all just copies of history.
Yeah. That's what I liked about Shay's thing, is that she didn't just make copies, she added her own, like, that was like her art, was that she added little touches to it, like with the Emperor.
Yeah.
And things like that. She didn't just remake, she remade and then improved or whatever. And then there was the whole thing about like what she meant when she remade the table, and her stamp was very visible on the table, and they were like, why don't you just hide that?
Mm-hmm.
Man, we're talking about this book as if it was like 300 pages long, but it is not. It's such a small book, and there's so much to unpack, which when I was reading it, I thought this is pretty straightforward, but there's a lot going on in this book.
There's a lot going on. There's a lot to unpack, and a lot of I don't know. There's a lot you can glean from it. I mean, case in point, having an hour book discussion when the audiobook's only 4 hours long.
Yeah, and I read most of this in a day. But this book wants to be talked about.
Yeah, it does.
It wants it. Is that everything that you
talking about it makes the book happy? That's right.
I think Brandon Sanderson would agree
that the book wants to be talked about.
Yeah.
It wants to be discussed.
Yeah.
Well.
Oh, so Dan has a good question.
Well, let's get to that in a second. Let's wait on that one for a second. Let's wrap up our discussion about the Emperor's Soul first, and say like, all right, we did it. We read a Brandon Sanderson,
shorty,
a shorty, kind of a modern master of fantasy, right? This guy.
I think that's fair.
The winningest Kickstarter ever.
Oh, yeah.
Was it $32 million or something?
I think it's 45 or something.
Holy God.
And this book actually, this is a Hugo Award winner, this little book.
Oh.
So, Kira says, we haven't even touched on the definition of real art. If you can't tell the difference between the original and copy, is the original worth as much? I thought that her view of like kind of what art is and what it means and how it stands to be interpreted and all that stuff and like what it's worth was interesting. With the whole painting thing, we kind of already talked about that, but like the fact that just like her pride in having her forgeries, like she kind of did like the best thing you could do. Now her forgery is like ruling the empire.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So like her art is now like probably the most prominent. It'd be like if we made a comedy sketch and it was like president. I don't
really good.
You lost me.
Yeah,
you lost me.
But anyway, so Brandon Sanderson.
It's Diane. After we made that sketch about her running for president.
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
Grandma became president.
Grandma became president.
When no one actually knew that she was really Diane.
So I have to say, like on the whole, I think first impression of Brandon Sanderson, 2 thumbs up.
Yep.
Would read more if they weren't 3 billion pages.
Yeah, listen, if you want to read more, Mistborn is a really great place to go. It's a trilogy, and then there's a second trilogy that's like 300 years later, but you don't have to read all of that.
Or Elantris.
It's really good. Elantris is a standalone. It's really good. He has some other really good short stories.
I did go look at Elantris because it was on my bookshelf, and we've had it in the pool before, and I opened it up just to take a look. And I will say the book is not big, but that font is small. That font is so small.
Yeah.
I'm excited to read it though one day.
But yeah, super impressed with Brandon Sanderson.
Mike says he likes the y'all chime in really quick. Like just say give us a thumbs up. Like, do you like Shorty Month? You know, typically, or at least we have the past two Decembers, Christy. We do a graphic novel in December because we know everyone's busy, right?
Well, we did graphic novels twice, and then we did Dune once for December and January.
That's right. So, but we picked up graphic novels again this past year with Resident Alien, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, what do y'all think? Y'all chime in and you know, are you a fan of summer shorties? Because look, everyone's traveling. July's crazy. Y'all just chime in and let us know because we love your feedback. But I will say, yeah, I was really impressed with the simplicity, but like how impactful this little short was. So I'll definitely be recommending it to some folks, and look forward to the next smaller piece of work that I can find for him.
Well, you're in luck. Next up, we've got All Systems Red by Martha Wells. We're switching to science fiction, and we're doing the first in the Murderbot series, which is very popular. And I've actually read All Systems Red, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what everybody else thinks about it. So that's July 27th. Is that what you just said? So on July 27th, we'll talk about Murderbot, All Systems Red.
Murderbot.
You won't find any cool magic systems in that book, but it should be an interesting read. And then Dan asked a question early on. We'll get back to it now. I don't remember where it was, but it was about the book poll video for August.
We've had some stuff going on.
So, you know, we had COVID, and now she has COVID, and hopefully Lucas doesn't get it. There was some stuff going on, and so we kind of
behind,
dragged a little bit on the poll video, on the poll, but we do have poll options.
Yeah, they're chosen. The poll option. So we're gonna make a video right after this.
And some maybe, yeah.
And then Adam's gonna edit it and post it tomorrow.
Oh, hey, that's a good one. That's a good one.
You heard her say it. You heard Christy say it.
It was a joke. It takes him much longer to do it.
She is a comedian.
But it should be up hopefully in the next couple of days.
It will be soon.
By the end of the weekend, definitely.
So
we'll be pushing him to do it.
So it'll be a little later than usual, but we'll get it up soon. And then we can vote on what we're going to read in August. And yeah, so just a little, just a little bit slower, maybe we can rewrite the stones later on and make it so that I never got COVID.
That's right.
Yeah. So that's what's going on with the poll video for August, and the poll in general, is that it's coming. Sorry. But I took a glance at the choices. I think we got some interesting ones coming up.
They are interesting. And they're all from the book suggestion post.
Oh, so y'all came up with these.
Yeah. All three of them.
Okay. All right. So it's your fault.
If you don't like them, then it's your fault. Yeah.
And I hadn't even heard of one of them before, but two different people recommended it, and that I saw, and so I'm really excited because it sounds great.
Okay,
I don't remember what it was, but
so,
it sounds great.
Yes, one of them is the novelization for Gremlins 2. Mr. Clamp is really fleshed out in that, just so much more than in the movie. But yeah, so that's coming up, and All Systems Red coming up on the 27th. It's going to be another fun time, I think.
Yeah.
This is a very different read than what we just did. But I'm definitely I'm going to reread it, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Me too.
But that brings us to the hour. So we thank you. We thank you for being a part of this. Was a fun discussion. I enjoyed it. And sorry, maybe next time we'll be back in a more traditional layout, and none of us will have COVID.
Hopefully, yeah.
Well, there's only one more to go, so
don't say that.
I don't want to get it.
But thank y'all for joining us as always, and we'll see you next time. Lucas, let's harmonize.